In today's video, we are going to look at part 3 of 9 on naming organic compounds. We are going to name alkenes. We're still on grade 12 organic chemistry. Okay, alkenes are hydrocarbons that have at least one double bond between two carbon atoms. Okay, alkenes are hydrocarbons. Hydrocarbons, it means they are made up of hydrogen and carbon atoms. Okay, alkenes are hydrocarbons that have at least one double bond. Okay, at least one double bond. So they can have more than one. Okay, alkenes are hydrocarbons that have at least one double bond between two carbon atoms. Okay, so we are going to name this alkene. You can see this is the double bond between two carbon atoms. You can see that. Okay, now let's name this organic compound, which is an alkene. Okay, before you can name the compound, you have to identify how many carbon atoms do you have in the parent chain, and you have to include your double bond in the parent chain. Okay, so we have two carbon atoms. Okay, 1, 2. So the numbering can be done from left to the right. In this case, it is not important because we only have two carbon atoms, so it doesn't matter the numbering in this case. So you have to memorize this table. Okay, you have to memorize this table. You are going to need it when naming organic compound. You have to memorize this table. Okay, so when you have two carbon atoms, as in this case, the parent chain, the prefix will be eth, like this, eth. When you have two carbon atoms, okay, as in this case, this is your parent chain. You don't have any branch. So when you have two carbon atoms in the parent chain, the prefix to use will be eth. So this will be named like this. And you are going to use the suffix ene. Okay, you are going to use the suffix ene. ene. So this organic compound will be called ethene. Okay, now we are going to see example number 2. We are going to name this organic compound, which is an alkene. You can see this is the functional group for an alkene. The functional group for an alkene is the double bond between carbon atoms. This is the functional group. Okay, so let me close this for now. Now, if you want to name this, you are going to give the priority to the double bond, not to the branch. You have to find the longest carbon chain that contains the double bond. Okay, let me say this again. You have to find the longest carbon chain that contains the double bond. Okay, so it can be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You cannot do this 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so you have 4 like this. This way you have 6. Or you can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Or you can go 1, 2, 3, 4. You have 4. So you need to get the longest, the one that contains the double bond. So the longest can be like this because you have 6 carbon atoms. Okay, not 4 carbon atoms. 6 is more than 4. Okay, so you need this. You can go like this, 6, or like this, 6. We are going to choose the straight carbon chain. Okay, this one. So after that, you are going to number your carbon atoms. Okay, you are going to number your carbon atoms in such a way that the double bond falls on the lowest possible number. If I start from right to the left, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. You can see the double bond is on carbon number 4. But if I start from left to the right, let's see, 1, 2. Okay, so if I start from left to the right, the double bond falls on carbon number 2. If I start from right to the left, the double bond falls on carbon number 4. So you can tell the best numbering is from left to the right, because from left to the right, the double bond falls on carbon number 2. Okay, so it will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You have your double bond on carbon number 2. Okay, so you have to get the lowest possible number. Okay, so the priority goes to the double bond because the double bond is the functional group for alkenes. Okay, now you can see you have 3 branches. Okay, you have a branch on carbon number 2 and a branch on carbon number 3 and another branch on carbon number 5. Okay, you can see that. So now we are going to name this organic compound. We are going to start with naming the branches. Okay, so we have to use our numbers to locate our branches. Okay, you have a branch on carbon number 2 and another branch on carbon number 3 and another branch on carbon number 5. So we are going to use 2, 3, 5. Okay, because we have our branches on carbon number 2, 3 and 5. 2, 3, 5, right? You have 3 of them. 1, 2, 3. And we are going to use the prefix tri because we have 3 group. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, we have 3 group. We are going to use the prefix tri. Okay, you can see that on the table. Okay, we have 3 branches or 3 group. So, number of identical branch. Okay, when you have 3, you're going to use the prefix tri. When you have 2, you're going to use the prefix di. When you have 4, you're going to use the prefix tetra. Okay, in this case, we have 3 of them. 1, 2, 3. So we are going to use the prefix tri. Okay, because we have 3 of them. And the name of the branch is called, when you have 1 carbon atom in the branch, it will be methyl. Okay, methyl. So we are going to use tri-methyl. Okay, because you have 3 methyl group. We are going to use tri-methyl. Okay, so this is a methyl and this is a methyl and this is also a methyl. 3 of them. So you are going to use tri. Okay, you have to put a hyphen between a number and a letter. Always put a hyphen between a number and a letter. So we are going to use tri-methyl. So we are done naming the branches. Now our parent chain is made up of 6 carbon atoms. Okay, 6 carbon atoms, the parent chain. So when you have 6 carbon atoms in the parent chain, you are going to use X, the prefix X. Okay, so you are going to use X and you are going to follow it with the suffix ENE. But before that, you have to show that you have a double bond on carbon number 2. So we are going to use 2 to show that you have a double bond on carbon number 2. Okay, now you can use the suffix ENE. ENE. Now this is the full name of this organic compound. Okay, now example number 3, we are going to name this organic compound. So before you can name the organic compound, you have to identify the longest carbon chain that contains the double bond. Okay, this is an alkene, right? You can see you have your double bond there. So this is an alkene. An alkene contains at least 1 double bond between 2 carbon atoms. Okay, so you have your double bond between 2 carbon atoms. So this is an alkene. Okay, now you can identify the longest carbon atom chain. You have to include the double bond in your numbering. Okay, you have to include the double bond in your numbering. Okay, so I can go like this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. If I do this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Even though this is the longest one, but when I take this, the problem is that the double bond is not included. You have to include the double bond in your numbering. Okay, so you have to choose the longest carbon atom chain that contains the double bond. Okay, the double bond is the functional group for alkenes. Okay, do not choose this one, even though this is the longest, but the problem is that the double bond is excluded. Okay, so we have to go like this. And the numbering, will it go like this or like this? You have to start from here going this way, because when you start from here, the double bond will be on the lowest possible number. You can see when I start from here, I have the double bond on carbon number 1, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, when I start from here, I have the double bond on carbon number 1. But if I start from here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I have the double bond on carbon number 6. Okay, so I have to give my double bond the lowest possible number. Okay, so I'll start like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, now this is a branch. Okay, your parent chain is this one, made up of 7 carbon atoms, right? This is the parent chain, and this is the branch, made up of 2 carbon atoms. Okay, now let's name this organic compound. We are going to start naming the branch first. So you have your branch made up of 2 carbon atoms on carbon number 2. Okay, you have this branch on carbon number 2. So it will be 2 on carbon number 2. You have this branch made up of 2 carbon atoms. What is the name of this branch? You can see when you have 2 carbon atoms for your branch, right? 2 carbon atoms for your branch, it will be ethyl. Okay, ethyl. So you have only one group. So you don't need to use the prefix. So it will be, you have to use the hyphen between the letter and the number. Okay, ethyl. The parent chain is made up of 7 carbon atoms, right? So the prefix to use will be ept, right? 7 carbon atoms, ept. Okay, ept. You can see between letters, you don't need to put a hyphen. You only put a hyphen between a number and the letter. Okay, you don't put a hyphen between the letters. Okay, so you are going to use the prefix ept because you have 7 carbon atoms. Okay, and you are going to follow by the suffix ene. But before that, you have to locate your double bond. The double bond is on carbon number 1. So you are going to use 1. Remember to put the hyphen between a letter and a number. Okay, now you can follow the suffix ene. Okay, so this is the full name of this organic compound. Okay, so let's carry on. Now we are going to do example number 4 and 5. Now example number 4, this is the organic compound that we are going to name. So as always, you have to identify the longest carbon atom chain that contains the double bonds. This is an alkene because you have the double bond between carbon atoms. Okay, you have 2 double bonds, right? You have this and this. When you identify the longest carbon atom chain, you have to include all the double bonds. So the numbering will be 1, 2, 3, 4. If you go like this, you're going to exclude this. So you don't want to do that. You have to include all the double bonds. Okay, because the double bond is the functional group for an alkene. You have to include all the double bonds. So you don't have to go like this. Because if you go like this, you're going to exclude this. So the longest carbon atom chain that contains the double bonds will be this one. Now, the numbering, will it be done from left to the right or from right to the left? From left to the right or from right to the left? You can see if I start from left, the first double bond will be on carbon number 1 and the second one will be on carbon number 3. If I start from right to the left, the first double bond will be on carbon number 1 and the second double bond will be on carbon number 3. I have to start from right to the left so that my branch falls on carbon number 2, because if I start from left to the right, the branch will be on carbon number 3. I have to give the branch the lowest possible number. So the lowest possible number will be obtained if I start from right to the left, because from right to the left, I have the branch on carbon number 2. The double bonds are not violated. Okay, the double bond will still be on carbon number 1 and 3. Okay, whether left to the right or right to the left, the double bond will still be on carbon number 1 and 3. So we are going to start from right to the left. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now you have the branch on carbon number 2 and you still have your double bonds on carbon number 1 and on carbon number 3. Okay, so whether you start from left to the right or from right to the left, it will not affect the double bonds. In this case, we have to give the branch the lowest possible number. We can start naming. We are going to start with the branch. Okay, the branch is located on carbon number 2, right? You can see that. So it will be 2, the name of the branch. The branch is made up of 2 carbon atoms. It will be ethyl, the name of the branch. You can see that from this table. You have to memorize this table, okay? 2 carbon atoms, the branch is known as ethyl. Now, the parent chain is made up of 4 carbon atoms, okay? Parent chain made up of 4 carbon atoms. You're going to use but, okay? This is the prefix to use. 4 carbon atoms in the parent chain. You're going to use this prefix, okay? Now, you have a double bond on carbon number 1 and a double bond on carbon number 3. So you have 2 groups. Because you have 2 groups, you are going to use the prefix di and you have to use the numbers to locate your double bond. So we have a hyphen, you have 1, 3, right? On 1 and on 3, you have a double bond there and a double bond there. On 1 and 3, you have double bonds. Okay, so this is why we use 1, 3. Now you can follow this with the suffix di, ene. Okay, di because you have 2 groups, 1, 2. So you are going to use di and ene. Di, ene. Okay, let's look at example number 5. We are going to name this compound. Okay, as always, let's get the longest carbon atom chain that contains the double bond. Okay, this is the double bond. You only have 1 double bond. Let's get the longest carbon atom chain that contains the double bond. We are going to start from left to the right. Okay, we have to give this double bond the lowest possible number. Okay, so it will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you have 6 like this, 5 like this, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So the longest carbon atom chain that contains the double bond is this one. Okay, you have 6 carbon atoms, or this one, like this, or like this, 6 carbon atoms. Okay, we can choose the straight one. You have to start your numbering from left to the right so that you have this double bond on the lowest possible number. Okay, so we are going to start 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, now you have a branch on carbon number 2 and another branch on carbon number 4 and another branch on carbon number 4. 2 branches on carbon number 4. 1 branch on carbon number 2. Now, this is a methyl and this is also a methyl. This is a methyl, right? Let me show you from the table. Okay, the branch, right? Name of the branch. When you have 1 carbon atom, you have a methyl. So this is a methyl and this is a methyl. When you have 2 carbon atoms, you have an ethyl. 2 carbon atoms, this is an ethyl. Okay, so I'm going to start naming methyl or ethyl first. In this case, you have to start with the alphabet. Okay, this is methyl and this is ethyl. Okay, let me show you from the table. So you have methyl and ethyl. E comes before M. Okay, E comes before M. So you have to start with ethyl. So you are going to do it alphabetically. E comes before M. So you have to name this first. You have it on carbon number 4, right? On carbon number 4, you have an ethyl. Now, you can now name this. You have 2 groups of methyl. 2 groups of methyl on carbon number 2 and 4. So you have to show this 2 and 4. You are going to use a hyphen 2, 4. Since you have 2 of them, you are going to use di. So it will be dimethyl. Okay, dimethyl, because you have two of them. Now, the parent chain is made up of 6 carbon atoms. Okay, you can see that the parent chain is made up of 6 carbon atoms. Okay, so we are going to use the prefix X. Okay, we are going to use the prefix X. Okay, X. And the double bond is located on carbon number 2. The double bond is located on carbon number 2. Okay, so you need to show that with the number 2, and you are going to follow this with the suffix ene. Okay, ene. ene. So this is the full name of this organic compound. Okay, this is the full name of this organic compound. For now, we are done with part 3 of 9. Please check for part 4 of 9. Okay, until next time, I will talk to you soon.